It's March Madness. It's opening day. It's March Madness. It's opening day. I don't know what to do, Dave. It's Sports Frenzy. I don't know what to do.
Well, as the co-host of America's favorite politically incorrect sports commentary show, Sports Frenzy 2.0 is going to kick off with the madness of March.
Yes, we will look at our semi-busted brackets here on March the 27th, 2024. This will, of course, drop tomorrow morning, Thursday, March the 28th, which is baseball's opening day and which is the start of the Sweet 16. Tomorrow is a big day.
Yep.
In sport.
So he's the maestro, Kevin Crane.
And of course, joined as always by the man with the plan, the smartest man in the world. Next to me, David Height. So, we look at the bracket. We're down to the Sweet 16, as I just alluded to. A lot of chalk.
Yes, very much different from years past.
As I look at my notes, this is only the 5th time since they have added 64 teams, since they went to 64, that we have had the top 8 seeds all make the Sweet 16. So that should tell you how chaos is not reigning this year. With a few exceptions. Of course, one of them had to fuck me straight up the ass. And that would be one Kentucky with John Calipari, who has officially announced, along with the school, that he will be back next year.
Yep, much to the dismay of a lot of the Kentucky faithful.
Yeah, they lost in the first round. They were the big upset, 80-76 to Oakland.
Ooh. Yeah, that was bad.
And of course, I had them going to the Final Four. Yet somehow I am still winning. I don't think it's going to last, but I am somehow still winning to this point in our Frenzy Madness bracket competition.
Yes, they were your Final Four team that's out. South Carolina boned me on that regard.
Yep, and I'm still scared to death of the Big Blue W because his Sweet 16 right now is 100% clean. So needs some upsets to knock Bill off his. He's lurking back there. He didn't do so well in the first 4 and then in the first round, but now he's coming on. And then the other, of course, we had our 5-12 requisite 5-12 upsets. One of them worked out for us, as we predicted.
Yep. That would be the
James Madison.
And then they should have gone on to beat Duke, but alas, they had a letdown.
Big time letdown. Big time. So, of course, this ends up being one of those years where Duke is actually going to play well. Not choke like they normally do. So, yeah, James Madison, 12 seed, knocks off number 5, Wisconsin. But then, yeah, basically shits the bed against Duke. So now we get a very, very intriguing matchup in the South. Houston against Duke.
Yeah, that's going to be one hell of a battle.
There are some great matchups. This is what you're going to get when you don't have all the upsets that you're expecting. The other 5-12, before I forget, which screwed me, was St. Mary's losing to your pick.
Grand Canyon.
Yes. I thought that division with Gonzaga, who has come through very well so far, I thought Gonzaga and St. Mary's both would show up, and of course St. Mary's did not. Now Grand Canyon then lost to Alabama. So as we look through, we've got UConn, San Diego State in a rematch of last year's championship game. I do not expect UConn to have any issues.
You wouldn't expect them to have any issues.
No.
This almost seems to be the UConn Invitational.
Yep. Even though everybody, the pundit said, this is the toughest. How the hell was this the toughest path?
No.
How the hell was this the toughest path to get to the
Seriously.
Final Four? No. I'd say it's the
they got to go
Midwest.
against San Diego State. Then, if they do get by them, they face the winner of Illinois, Iowa State. Come on, seriously?
Now that'll be a tough game. But the thing is, Illinois and Iowa State, that'll be a knockdown dragout. So whoever comes out of that is going to be a little bit worn down.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, the Midwest is where the tough Purdue and Gonzaga is
That's
going to
going
be
to be a
awesome.
hell of a game.
And I think Creighton, Tennessee is going to be a
Creighton's
hell of
going
a
to
game.
give Tennessee all they can handle.
Yep. I think the West right now is setting up very easily for North Carolina and Arizona. I think Arizona knocks off Clemson. I think North Carolina knocks off Alabama.
Yep.
Then you get a great matchup in the Elite Eight between the Tar Heels and Arizona. Then up in the South bracket,
Houston Duke is going to be a good game.
yeah, I'm rooting for NC State against Marquette.
Need Marquette to come through.
No, see, I need NC State to come through to knock all you guys down a little bit.
Nope. We need NC
Because
State to go down.
This is where I had Kentucky beating Marquette.
Need Marquette to continue on.
See, I think I let myself be prejudiced by watching the one game I watched the whole year. The whole year in college basketball was UConn Marquette. And I watched UConn destroy Marquette. And I said, Marquette's not that good. Marquette's not that good.
UConn destroyed a lot of teams.
But kudos to NC State for keeping up that momentum.
Yeah, they were riding high coming out of the conference tourney.
Yep.
Actually, from the last month of the season into the conference tourney.
Yep. So, of course, next week, we will continue on talking about the Final Four. That will be me solo, though.
Yep. I unfortunately will not be here. I have a work conference to attend. Happy, happy, joy, joy.
That's all right. We'll have plenty of fun stuff for you. We'll have our recap of the first few days of baseball. Like I said, we'll get into the Final Four. It'll be fun. Just got to listen to me a lot more than you normally would.
I'll drink for you guys.
I knew you were going to say something like that, jackass. I do have to give kudos. We just mentioned Gonzaga, who has come through stellar for both Dave and I into the Sweet 16. This is going to be a nice comparison. Compare contrast between the men's and the women's basketball. Gonzaga now is into their 9th straight Sweet 16 on the men's side, which is extremely impressive.
Hell of a run.
Extremely impressive. This is why I love that ugly bastard Mark Few. I'm telling you, he is the best coach out there. He is the best coach out there. Just ask Mr. Calipari. But you look at the women's side, UConn has now just made their 30th straight Sweet 16.
The competition on the men's side is so much better.
Yep. I mean, what are you going to do? This is the way it is.
Life goes on.
Luigi is still succeeding. Oh, I'm sorry. I meant Gino.
Yeah, same thing.
No, that's his real name is Luigi.
Yeah.
One of the Mario brothers. Coaching moves. Of course, a lot of these teams look good. Maybe through one game, maybe through the first 4. So, of course, the bigger schools who had to get rid of their coaches or those coaches moved on. You know, it's the musical chairs.
Nope, time to start poaching the smaller schools' coaches.
Silly season. So, we know that Juwan Howard was dismissed at Michigan. So they jump on Florida Atlantic's Dusty May. He gets a 5-year deal with the Wolverines. I think it's a good hire.
Yeah, they needed a change up there.
West Virginia, of course, we know all about the mess that Huggins left behind.
Yeah, jackass.
So they bring in Drake's Darian DeVries on a 5-year deal. And then Utah State was pretty impressive early on in the tournament. So Washington goes out and poaches their head coach, Danny Sprinkle.
He's going to sprinkle his pixie dust to bring his magic.
So Danny Sprinkle moves from Utah State to Washington. Stop laughing, Dave! That's his name! That's the man's name! He's not an exotic dancer. Jesus God, he's a legitimate good basketball coach.
Know.
You stop laughing!
Me? What about you?
I'm just reporting this stuff. I'm the play-by-play guy. You're the color guy. Colored sprinkles.
Rainbow sprinkles.
We're not saying anything about Washington when it comes to the rainbow stuff, though.
No.
But you never know. Oh, my God. And finally, just
back on track.
News just broke today. Going back to the women's side of basketball. And this was good news. I love this news because of all the negativity we've talked about swirling around Caitlin Clark and asshole racists like Cheryl Swoops. Good for Ice Cube. Good for Ice Cube. Ice Cube is a smart man. He is a smart businessman. He's finally said, it's out there now. It was supposed to be an under-the-table discussion. We have offered, his big three league. He has offered Caitlin Clark $5 million to come and join the big three.
There you go.
Because, again, Ice Cube is not a racist. He's not a scumbag. He is a smart businessman.
Yes, he is.
And he acknowledges there is no way I'm going to get better than Caitlin Clark to boost name recognition, to boost my league, the big three, than to get Caitlin Clark in here.
Yep, it's a good move.
Now, she's
probably going to wind up making more money through that one than she would at the WNBA.
See, that's what I was thinking too. But now you look into the technicalities. Everybody's digging in. If she takes the deal with the big three, is she excluded from going to the WNBA? Can she do both?
Why not?
She might be able to do both. But
why not? Players have played for the WNBA and over in Europe. What's the difference?
We'll see. But first thing, I'm with you. First thing I thought was take the money. There's no way in hell
grab
you're getting that money
right up now because you're one cut away from destroying a knee or ankle.
And people aren't going to rip on you for taking Saudi blood money. This is coming from Ice Cube, man.
Boom.
This is red-blooded American money. So very, very happy. I was borderline
badass of the week.
For Ice Cube, yeah.
Yep.
For making a very bold, solid move here with this offer to Caitlin Clark. So, of course, since we're going nonstop, we're going to roll right along into baseball.
Baseball been very good to me.
Of course, this will drop on Thursday, March the 28th, which is the official opening day. Of course, those 2 games in South Korea. I think
you mean the exhibition games?
The Dodgers wish those games would have gone away, considering the fallout from those. We'll talk about that in a few minutes here. But, of course, we have a competition with baseball, too, here on Sports Frenzy. The cherished Morningwood Trophy. Everybody loves to rub the Morningwood Trophy. Otherwise known as the Field of Frenzy. Our man who runs Sports Frenzy West, Bill Lazowski, the Big Blue W, came up with this idea to fill out the Penta Frenzy.
Yes.
So that means that we have picks for the elongated first week of the season, which will run about 11 days, if my memory serves. I get old, the mind gets a little fragile, but I believe it's 11 days. And then, of course, we have our predictions for the entire season. And that's what you really want to hear. The 8 expert panelists for Sports Frenzy talking about who is going to win what awards, who is going to win the championship, the pennants. Dave, fill the kids in.
All right. Shall we begin with the individual awards leading up to the teams?
Yeah, build up the tension.
Yeah, let's do that this time around. So, let's start with the Cy Young winners, shall we? National League.
Popular
kind
pick.
of popular pick. Yours, along with the Elder Statesman, the Big Blue W, Mrs. C, and Nick.
Spencer Strider. He was my pick last year. I'm sticking with him. He came close last year. Best pitcher on, in my opinion, the best team in baseball. Still young enough, still coming into his own. So.
Yep. Aaron and I are going with Zach Gallen.
Not a bad pick at all.
Another young up-and-coming pitcher.
And that Arizona Diamondbacks rotation now looks ridiculous.
It does. It's
with
crazy.
The addition of Jordan Montgomery. Looks ridiculous.
Yeah. So, and then we have the lone pick for Doug, Yoshi Yamamoto.
Yeah, after seeing what he did in South Korea.
Yeah,
I'm scared as a Cubs fan because seeing how Yamamoto has failed miserably on his $300 million+ contract, and of course the Cubs brought in the second best pitcher from overseas.
Yeah, how's that gonna fly?
God, again, they go nutsy, cuckoo, crazy. Somebody
the level
like
of competition.
Shohei Ohtani hits. Somebody like Ichiro hits. And they go, oh, those are the only two! Those are the only two!
That have ever had
Seriously,
any lasting...
Yu Darvish has been solid, but come on.
Not amazing.
We have had a lot more miserable failures.
We have.
Coming in from Japan and overseas than we've had successes. Ugh, scared to death.
Yep. Moving on to the American League Cy Young. Couple of popular picks. I took Kevin Gausman along with the Elder Statesman, Nick, and Aaron. So 4 of us going out in that direction.
Can't do it. Now, of course, I think a big factor in this was Garrett Cole. Garrett Cole going down for at least the first month and a half of the season.
It opens the door for some other
I
pitchers.
think a lot of people would have taken Garrett Cole to go back to back.
Yeah, but alas.
Well, we had last year. We had one of the few times where somebody won the Cy Young in one league after they'd won it in the other. And that would be Blake Snell. Yep. Of course, Blake Snell won it with the Rays, and then last year won it with the Padres. So why not do it again? Let's run it back again, kids. Doug and I are going with Corbin Burns, of course, won it with the Brewers, now traded to the Orioles.
Why not? It was tempting.
Yep.
And then we have 2 outliers. Bill taking Pablo Lopez. And Jen is taking Tariq Skubal.
Yep, young pitcher from the Tigers.
Yep.
So a little bit of outliers, but still they're on that radar.
Yeah.
They're still on the radar for Cy Young.
All right, MVP candidates. Let's take a look at the American League this time. Stick with them. Oh, couple of popular picks with 1 outlier. So we have for you, Sam, Jen, Nick, and Doug, all going with Juan Soto. thinking that he can actually do something with the Yankees.
Two reasons. Number one, contract year. If he plays well, he is going to get a $350, $400 million deal minimum.
He's with the Yankees. He's going to get injured.
That's the thing. He's got these bums around him who get injured all the time, but at least if one or two of them are in the lineup, if Aaron Judge or Stanton or Rizzo can actually...
Or are they going to have an influence on him? What's their training staff like? Why are these guys always getting dinged up and hurt? Is that going to parlay to him now?
I still think the guy moved from Washington to San Diego, now to New York. You haven't seen any kind of a drop-off. He's had a great spring training. And again, if he's got any kind of protection in that lineup, even if half of these guys, now they've already got issues with DJ LeMahieu.
Yeah.
And we know Stanton, you can't depend on him for a full year. We'll see with Aaron Judge. We'll see with Rizzo.
It'll be interesting. So I'm cautious about his health moving to New York with everything they have going on there. You've got to be concerned about it.
Okay. I kind of get it, but at the same time, you're either looking at one, there's bad juju with the Yankees, or their training staff is basically Pee Wee Herman and Happy Gilmore.
Would you? It could happen. All right. That being said, Bill and I are going with Julio Rodriguez.
Not a bad pick. Not a bad pick at all.
Nope. And then Aaron taking his namesake and Aaron Judge.
So he must think the flip side of what I'm thinking is that he thinks Soto will serve as protection for a healthy Aaron Judge.
Yep.
Which I don't know. We've already heard things about Judge with little, aches and pains already this year. So, God, I'm just so tired of this. I am so tired of these athletes getting paid all this money. And then they're always hurt and they're always dinged up. And I can't do this. I can't play this day.
And that's why they shouldn't be giving out these mega long, uber rich deals. That's why you have to have non-guaranteed contracts.
Well, we've been saying this for years and years. The NFL is the only league that can substantiate paying their players the money they get because of the money they're bringing in, because of the popularity, the viewers, the attendance. I don't see how baseball and basketball
can continue,
can substantiate in a business model paying these players this type of money.
It's ridiculous.
And we'll get to some of that later as well.
All right, moving on to the NL MVP race.
Nick and I are going with a repeat. Little scare in preseason, little scare in spring training for Ronald Acuna Jr. But again, just like I said with Spencer Strider, with my NL Cy Young pick, best player on the best team. Between now, you've got the upsurge with the rule changes and stolen bases, which helps out Acuna a lot in terms of being more valuable to his team. Puts on that oven mitt and he steals 40 bases. So Nick and I are going with the repeat winner in the NL, Ronald Acuna Jr.
Yep. I am taking a page out of your Cy Young pick of Mr. Corbin Burns, moving from one league to another. I'm going to go with Shohei Ohtani.
If he's not in jail.
If he's not in jail. This was picked before all his gambling issues
again, we'll get to this in a few minutes, but
yeah,
I don't think you have to worry about him going to jail.
No,
which in a way is pathetic, but we'll get to it.
Yeah, we got some rants coming up. Then we have not one, not two, but 4 picks. Sam, Bill, Jen, and Doug going with Mookie Betts.
And Mookie Betts got off to an unbelievable start overseas. I believe he had 7 RBIs in the first 2 games in South Korea.
We'll see if it translates over.
I still, number one, I don't trust the manager, and we're already seeing bad things coming out of the Dodgers camp in terms of Yamamoto. Maybe he was overhyped and overrated. Of course, the betting scandal with Ohtani. They can cakewalk into the playoffs with as many wild cards now as you allow in.
Yeah.
But the thing is, are they going to be able to beat the Phillies,
Probably.
the Braves?
They'll have a rough go there.
Giants have made a lot of moves here late. Diamondbacks
are going to
I mean,
be
the
tough.
West is tough. You take away the Rockies, way to go. Another great year.
Way to go, Colorado.
Another great year with that Chris Bryant signing.
Yeah, good luck with that one.
But the other 4 teams are all solid.
Yeah. Nope, that's going to be good. And then another outlier, Aaron is going with Freddie Freeman.
An outlier, but you notice
But
the
it's
pattern.
solid, yeah.
Well, you notice the pattern outside of Nick and I with Acuna. You guys are all going with the Dodgers. 3 different players, but you're all going with the Dodgers.
We will
Similar to Aaron versus a handful of us with the Yankees. Him going with Judge, a lot of us going with Soto.
Yeah. So each side, we'll have to see how it plays out.
Now, who is going to win the whole goddamn thing, Dave?
Despite all the problems, I have the Dodgers taking the National League, going to the NLCS, winning it, going to the series.
Sam agrees with you, and Aaron.
Yep. So you've got some compadres with your pick. Bill, Jen, and Nick agree with you.
I've been talking about Cy Young winner, NL MVP, so why wouldn't I pick the Atlanta Braves to win the National League pennant?
And then you have Doug, being the homer that he is.
His heart bleeds blue. Cubby blue.
Yep, so that's your...
And I hope he's right. God help me, I hope he's right.
You never know. Then, the American League side.
You and I, Sam, and Aaron.
Yep, we are going with a perennial American League favorite with the Astros.
Meet the new boss.
Same as the old boss.
I don't care if Dusty Baker's no longer there. Could actually be an upgrade.
Could be.
But that bench coach, everybody's been wanting him for years, and he sat there and sat there.
That's who I wanted for the White Sox, but no, they get Pedro fucking Grifol.
Yep. So now he gets it. He waited patiently.
And now he's got the keys to Daddy's Ferrari.
He knew Dusty wasn't going to be a long-term solution.
Yeah.
Dusty got his ring.
Yep.
So now he moves up, heir apparent.
Yep.
Should be an easy transition for that team. Now they bring in Josh Hader, stellar top-level closer.
Yeah.
So Verlander will be back at some point before the All-Star break.
Yeah.
They're
in
fine.
Time for their push.
That team is solid as a rock.
Yep. Then you have Bill, Jen, and Nick and Doug going with the Orioles. See if they are going to keep going.
Away.
Yeah.
Year away.
So they have a good chance to get to the ALCS.
Yeah.
Get some experience in the playoffs rolling through.
I still think now, we'll talk in a minute about the ownership change and how that could impact things. I still think...
Yeah, with the new owner, could they push a little bit more money in to make a big trade?
Right.
Near the deadline.
You lock up Corbin Burns long term.
Yeah.
To show everybody we're serious about getting the Orioles back to their winning ways from decades ago.
Yeah. Now, coming down the line to the World Series, who will win it all? We're kind of all over a little bit with this one, based on who we picked for the NLCS, but go ahead and start off with yours.
Well, because I picked the Cy Young from this team, I picked the NL MVP from this team, why wouldn't I pick them to win the whole damn thing? That would be the Atlanta Braves. I think they are due for another championship. It's amazing to me, this team, the Braves, as a franchise going back over 30 years, has been by far I don't care what the fucking Yankees fans want to say. They had their nice little run, late 90s, early 2000s. The Braves have been the most consistent team since the early 90s in baseball. And they've only got, what, 2 championships to show for it?
Yeah.
The scales need to even out a little bit. Yes, they're smart with locking up young players. They're smart with who they trade for. They are just a smart organization. It's time for the Braves to get another World Series trophy.
Yep, Bill and Nick agree with you. I am going with the team that we were just talking about. I am going with the Astros, the team that's just going to keep right on rolling without a hiccup.
And I think the Astros, again, are still young enough. Now they've got a new head coach.
Yeah, they've got the experienced players to be there. They know what it takes for the grind.
A new manager who's going to revitalize them. The old school voice of Dusty Baker worked. Now you bring in a younger voice. I don't see it being an issue.
No, it should just be business as usual for them.
They've got Altuve locked up now until he's going to retire. Before he goes into the Hall of Fame as an Astro. I mean, they are just doing it the right way. And I was thinking about this today. And you can relate this to the Orioles. You can relate this to the Cubs. You can relate this to the Astros. And now, some of these teams aren't just going to be the Dodgers and throw money at everybody and anybody.
Yankees, the Mets.
The Cubs started this off about 12 years ago. Basically, where they said, we're just going to play the young players.
No, the Astros started the full tank mode.
I thought the Astros came after the Cubs.
The Astros kind of started it.
See, I thought the Cubs were the first ones to do it, then the Astros, and
the
now
Cubs
the Orioles.
Went cheap, and then the Astros, they tore it down to build it up completely, and then the Cubs started with the full rebuild.
You're talking like a non-Cubs fan. You don't know what I had to suffer through. That team was abysmal. They tore that team down. They did, just like the Astros, just like the Orioles. And what they did is they established a base to set them up for a decade or more of success.
Yeah. The Astros have continued it. The Cubs kind of bailed in the early stages.
Well, the Cubs made a stupid mistake with, number one, hiring David Ross as a manager was just idiotic.
They had stupid contracts that should not have been done.
And then when they had the chance to keep, like the Astros keep Altuve, the Astros say, this guy has been here, like you said, from the very beginning. He is a fundamental building block. He is a future Hall of Famer. He stays. Where the Cubs went, maybe we should blow it up completely.
Again.
And half of it was right. Getting rid of Bryant and Baez, 100% correct. Getting rid of Rizzo and Schwarber, 100% wrong.
Yeah. Yep, they screwed up.
Yep. So you're right. They did tear it back down again. And now bringing Dansby Swanson in, Cody Bellinger. You still got the old man, the professor, Kyle Hendricks, slotted in as number 2 in that rotation because he's just so smart in how he pitches now, should be fully healthy. I hate to say it could be his final year as a Cubs pitcher, but you've got Justin Steele as the ace. Then, of course, we've got the import from Japan. I've already expressed my trepidation about that. And then the bad signing with Jameson Taillon, not knowing if he's going to be ready for the first week or two of the season.
Yeah, you never know on that regard.
Yep.
All right. So I've got the Astros, the Lone Stros pick. Then you've got Sam and Aaron going with the Dodgers.
Easy pick. But again, is it? Given
I
they've
did
only
not take
won
them
one
because
title.
of, and that was in the COVID year.
Yes.
I don't trust their manager.
I agree.
Then you have the two outliers, Jen, thinking the young Orioles will go all the way, and Doug continuing the homer pick with the Cubs.
Yep.
So there you go.
Yep. Wrap those up one more time because those are the most important picks. So I've got the Braves along with Bill and Nick. Dave's got the Astros. Sam and Aaron have the Dodgers. Jen's got the Orioles, which I still think not a bad pick, but a year away. And Doug just going homer, picking the Cubs. So why wouldn't he, as we move on to our picks for Morningwood, why wouldn't he pick the Cubs for week one?
Get it out of the way.
If he could, he'd pick the Cubs every week.
He would.
I admire his fandom. I do. But remember, fan is short for fanatic.
Yes, it is.
It's a thin line between genius and insanity.
Usually leaning more to insanity.
So, what we do here, give you guys a quick update. If you've not listened to us during the baseball season, with the Field of Frenzy, 2 max picks throughout the 26-week MLB season. 2 maxes per team.
Yep. You gotta really plan ahead a little bit with this one.
We go Monday through Sunday. Now we have 2 quirky weeks, and week 1 is a quirky week. We are going a week and a half at the beginning of the season, so everybody can kind of get acclimated. And so the season starts Thursday, March the 28th. We will carry that through until a week from Sunday, and then we get back on our normal schedule. The only other odd week is, of course, All-Star Week. That's a short 3-day weekend, so you don't want to burn a really good team on that weekend.
Where you can do a throwaway with one of the crappy teams who might just get lucky.
Might have a good matchup.
Yeah.
You take the Pirates, you take the Royals. But so there you go. Every other week should be Monday to Sunday.
Yep.
You look at the pitching matchups. You look at who's playing 5 games, 6 games, 7 games. So again, this week 1 pick is a long week.
Yeah. It sounds easy, but it's not. You want to maximize the number of games played.
And again, you can only take any particular team twice. Yep. That's it. So Bill and I are taking the Seattle Mariners.
Yep, I'm taking the Dodgers.
Sam's taking the Braves. Jen's taking the Astros. Nick with the Orioles. We already mentioned Doug
with the Cubs, and Aaron's going with the Brewers.
Aaron's pick bothers me. I don't like that pick. I like every other pick except Aaron's.
Yeah, it's some. Yeah, I was
Brewers,
looking at them.
Their top 2 pitchers are gone, either due to a trade in the Corbin Burns deal to the Orioles, or Brandon Woodruff is out for the year, still recovering from surgery.
Yeah, new manager coming in. There's
you
a
don't
lot
have
of
Craig Counsell anymore.
There's a lot of question marks with that Milwaukee team.
Yeah, I that's fine. Aaron's usually one of the better participants in this, so if he wants to start off in the hole, that's fine with me. That's fine with me. You and him last year went down to a tiebreaker.
We went down to the tiebreakers. Alas, the damn tiebreaker.
So yeah. He when he sent me his pick, didn't have a lot of confidence behind it. He said Brewers, I guess.
So we will see.
But that's Aaron. Yep. That's Aaron for you. All right. Other baseball news. Of course, we've alluded to a lot of this stuff as we went through our picks for the season, predictions, and the awards. Start off with the Dodgers because a lot of stuff swirling around the Dodgers, and I don't think this is what they wanted. They
No,
wanted
this
those
is not the
headlines.
attention. These are not the headlines and the attention they wanted.
Right. They loved the attention in the headlines a couple months ago when they
with
shot.
all the signings and the buku bucks they were shelling out.
Yep, they signed Yoshi Yamamoto and they signed Shohei Ohtani. That's the attention they wanted. Now things have changed. We mentioned, let's start off slow and get to the big stuff. We mentioned they officially, along with the Padres, the Dodgers started the season last week in South Korea, and they split the series. Each won one game of the 2-game series, but $300+ million for Yoshi Yamamoto. He pitched 1 inning, let up 5 earned runs.
Ouch.
Not the best start in the world, and this, of course, coming off of a less than stellar spring training.
Yeah, he did not look good all spring. So he got some work to do, kids.
Now, Dave and I have complained over the last month or two about the finances with the Dodgers and how they have manipulated this luxury tax threshold and they have
pushed money
deferred
out.
money. So now,
are they trying to bankrupt Shohei Ohtani right now?
Maybe they don't want to pay him that money in the 2030s. But did not stop them from giving out another big extension today.
No, it did not.
Their catcher, Will Smith.
Not that Will Smith.
I was going to say young Will Smith, but bear with me, kids. Catcher Will Smith, who is arguably one of the top 5 catchers in the league, nobody's disputing that, was going to be a free agent, I believe, after the 2025 season. But they decided to lock him up now to a 10-year, $140 million extension, which will now carry through 2033. Now, there is no deferred money here, but keep this in mind.
How old is he right now?
He is going to be 29 years old this weekend. So at the end of this deal, he will be 39 years old.
He's not a Molina. Come on.
They say that he can arguably jump in and play other positions, but
maybe first base down the line, DH, but for that kind of money.
Now on the surface, $14 million a year over 10 years doesn't seem ridiculous, but
the length on that one is just asinine.
Yeah. 39 at the end of the deal. He's going to be 39. Even if he's not catching, that is still kind of a ridiculous extension.
Yeah, beyond ridiculous.
I mean, the guy's not jacking 40, 45 home runs a year.
No.
That brings us to, of course, the big headline in Dodgers camp. We talked last week about it. It broke right before we were able to.
Do you want to bet what we're going to talk about?
Yes. Now, this is our follow-up to the big news about Shohei Ohtani and his interpreter and the $4.5 million. And I still call bullshit on this whole deal. Now, earlier this week, they had a press conference, if you want to call it that, where he basically read a prepared statement, did not take any questions.
No, none whatsoever. And it goes deeper because the interpreter, if you look, there's the deep dive into the interpreter's resume. Teams that he said he was with have no record of him being on the payroll, renouncing anything he had to say about that. He said, oh, yeah, I was with an interpreter for, what's his name from the Red Sox? Red Sox came out and said, yeah, no, he was not. The college he said he graduated from, they said, yeah, he never went here. Very strange.
That's all fine and good.
But there's more of a cover-up to this.
I still want an explanation as to how he got access to Shohei Ohtani's bank account. Now, could there be a financial advisor involved in this
Potentially.
who let the interpreter have access? But there is somebody else involved here. If it's not Shohei Ohtani, it's got to be a financial advisor who had access to. There is no goddamn way Shohei Ohtani
Doesn't know
gave
what's
his
going on.
banking information to his interpreter and said, "Yeah, go ahead and take out whatever you need whenever you need
Yeah,
it."
that's not, no. Sorry. It does not work that way.
No, there. Another thing that somebody else listening to, of course, the pundits talk about this during the week, that I think is a very, very valid point, is why is it taking law enforcement so long to mount a case here?
Yeah. Is it
$4.5 million was stolen. And I don't want to hear this bullshit that, well, he's not going to press charges.
Don't care. He doesn't have to. You still have got to make an example
We still got
of this.
potential wire fraud. Gambling is illegal in California. Again,
There's
Pete
too
Rose
much-
should be suing Rob Manfred right now.
Yep. Absolutely. This is ridiculous.
Because you're not giving us enough information to say definitively Shohei Ohtani had nothing to do with this. You're basically covering up your golden boy.
Yeah.
So
I don't
you
care.
don't take a big smack to the face at the worst possible time if you're Major League Baseball. But it was okay to throw Pete Rose under the bus because he was defiant.
Yeah, this is absolute bullshit. Manfred, you should be ashamed of yourself for dragging your feet with this crap. There's no excuse.
Not only him, but I want
baseball in general. Where's
every law enforcement entity
needs to be on
should
this.
The FBI, the SEC, California Police,
NSA,
MLB,
Homeland Security. Get the whole damn alphabet soup.
All right, I wasn't gonna go that far. All right, now what are you gonna send Rambo out after him?
Nah.
But no, this has been a very, very, to me, disturbing lack of action. Given what the money that's involved, the laws in the state where the crime was committed, and the fact that everybody's kind of going, "Oh, no big deal, no big deal."
Yeah, no, it is a damn big deal.
The former president of the United States every chance we can, but Shohei Ohtani, no, we're not even going to look.
I'm sorry. Where there's smoke, there's fire. There's too much hinky shit going on. Stop protecting the golden boy.
Exactly. Let's move on from the Dodgers. In other baseball news, we mentioned the Orioles, of course, expedited change in ownership. Of course, Peter Angelos, longtime owner of the Orioles, passed away. Of course, normally we do this at the end of the show, but because this kind of pertains to other news involving the Orioles, David Rubenstein has now been approved as the new owner. Again, an expedited process because of the circumstances. Now, will this continue the momentum for the Orioles? Do they become the new power in the AL East?
We can only hope.
They have done a great job, we mentioned earlier, of building up their young base of players.
Yeah. They are a historically solid franchise who really lost their way.
Yep. Yeah, about
badly.
Mid to late 80s.
Yeah.
They lost their way for a couple decades. Finally started to hit on some of these prospects, bring in these good young players. Adley Rutschman.
83 was about the last. Yeah, that was their
last
right. really good year because they beat the White Sox for the pennant that year.
Yep. But now they fell on hard times. They were the laughing stock. They couldn't keep up spending wise with the Red Sox and the Yankees. The Rays were better managed when they came in. The Blue Jays, they were really good there at the beginning. Joe Carter, Gaston winning.
Blue Jays were good in the early 90s.
Yep, and then they've been able to keep the spending at a level where they've been competitive. So the Orioles were always in the cellar.
Yeah, they became a doormat.
Now everything's flipped. I would love to see Rubenstein keep the momentum going for this team. Again, lock up Corbin Burns.
Be in it to win it.
Be proactive.
Don't just be an owner who, I'm just going to take whatever write-offs. I'm going to take revenue sharing. No. Be an owner that cares. Go for the victories. Go for the championships. And do it the right way.
And after what has happened here in the last 48 hours in Baltimore, do something to bring the city together.
Yeah, it needs to happen.
They need help. They need something positive. And right now it's going to be sports. It usually is sports that brings a community together. And right now they need the Orioles.
You need a positive rallying point.
Yep. So if you're in it later this summer, make the trades, make the deals that you need to keep the Orioles at the top of the heap in the AL East. Now, finally, in baseball, the bad. Now, I'm taking this from somebody else, so I'm admitting it. The bad, awful, very terrible, no good offseason for Scott Boras is finally over.
Yep. His hardball tactics of creating a demand that's never there, making a team bid against itself. The dude just needs to stop. Stop trying to rewrite the record books on every contract. Stop screwing all of your players, everyone under your umbrella. Stop hosing them. Bring them some damn stability and bring some normalcy to the payroll. It's got to stop escalating, or, as you've set out to do, single-handedly destroy the game.
Yeah, who will it be? Will it be Rob Manfred or Scott Boras? So, yeah, the final two in the Scott Boras camp sign over the last week. J.D. Martinez signs with the Mets. A 1-year, $12 million deal. Now, with this contract, though, shame on the Mets. Shame on the Mets. Because this goes back to them setting this precedent for deferred money with Bobby Bonilla Day. Shame on the Mets. And again, just like with Shohei Ohtani, nobody covering this the way they should. We'll cover the J.D. Martinez contract the way you should cover it. A 1-year, $12 million deal. He's getting $4.5 million this year. He will get $1.5 million deferred from 2034 through 2038. Come on!
How fucking cheap do you have to be on this? Seriously.
We don't want to go over the luxury tax threshold.
This is nothing compared to what you did last year, numbnuts. It's ridiculous. Absolute stupidity.
I don't know what's worse. The fact that you can defer this money to 2038 on a relatively small deal.
1-year deal. $12 million is nothing for a year for a player.
Right.
And you're doing this nickel and dime penny ante bullshit.
Yeah, see, I don't know what's worse.
This has got to stop. If Manfred had any balls whatsoever, he would be stopping this shit right here, right now.
But he doesn't.
It's getting out of control already. It should have said, Sorry, Dodgers. No, you cannot do this. No big major deferrals. If you're going to do it, you're on the hook. You're over the tax. Deal with it.
Yeah, I know we get frustrated with the NFL and how they play around with their money too. We're going to turn this bonus, convert this into this.
Yeah,
So
but they're paying them up front then.
well, there's a very limited window to how far in the future you can push the money.
Yeah.
It's not like you could never pull this off in football. Never. Pull this off in football. No,
that's where big deals get restructured all the time and they become signing bonuses.
Exactly. They have their way of manipulating the system, but they don't do this garbage.
They don't push it decades into the future.
Right. Just awful and terrible. And then the final chip to fall, Jordan Montgomery finally signs, goes to the Diamondbacks. He gets a 1-year deal with $25 million, a player vesting option for the second year, depending on how many starts he makes for the Diamondbacks.
Yeah.
So all these are 1-year deals from the Boris camp. Yeah, that's basically all they are.
That's what he gets for trying to break the banks.
And then I guarantee, here's what's going to happen.
It's going to happen again next year.
I guarantee, here's what's going to happen, though. One of these guys, whether it's Bellinger, whether it's Montgomery, Martinez doesn't have the second year. Snell does. One of the guys with the second year option is going to get hurt. And they're going to cash in on that second year option, screw the team.
Yep.
And Boris is going to brag about it and go, oh, look what a great deal I got for my player.
Yeah, no, you got pigeonholed into that.
Again, Scott Boras doesn't understand the symbiotic relationship. You have to play nice with the teams.
That's why nobody wants to deal with you, because you're a raging douchebag.
You can't brag about the fact that, oh, I raked them over the coals, didn't I? No. And then do your little limericks and poems and rhymes in the press conferences. This is what happens.
This is why people hate you.
All right, let's move on to NASCAR.
Oh my God, what a shit
Well, let's
race.
move on to racing. Let's put it that way.
All right.
Let's move on to racing. Let's start off with good news in F1.
If there is such a thing.
Well, the Australian Grand Prix was not won by Max Verstappen. So I think that's great news. Max Verstappen had issues early on. Brakes, fire. Had to retire early 3 laps into the Australian Grand Prix. So Carlos Sainz wins 2 weeks after having his appendix removed.
Yay!
I mean, in this day and age, that's not a huge deal.
It's not, but come on. 2 weeks later with that muscle still building, taking on the G-forces,
he's not worthy of the Clint Eastwood badass of the week, but still.
But still, it's a heroic deal, and good for him.
Well, I was just happy that Verstappen had issues.
Yeah, let's end that run.
Little spoiled brat. Yeah, my car didn't work this week.
Yeah, well, guess what? It happens. And now we'll move on to NASCAR as we speak on Spotify, Google, Radio Public, Pocket Cast, Apple, Overcast, CastBox, Amazon, Audible, and iHeart Sports Frenzy, baby!
Otherwise known as iHeart Radio.
Yep, and this is the last run with Radio Public as of Sunday the 31st. They are gone, baby.
Yep, unfortunately.
Not gone girl, gone Radio Public.
Yep, unfortunately, Radio Public is gone, as Dave said, as of this Sunday. So
all you RP listeners out there, we just told you where else to listen to us.
There you go. Don't forget to check out the Facebook page as well. Each and every week, we will have our baseball picks, our NASCAR picks posted for you. And we, of course, will let you know once March Madness is done, which of our 8 panelists won the coveted Frenzy Madness trophy. The second, of course, the first one burned up in a fire. Not kidding, kids. Burned up in a
Legitimately
fire.
happened. But Mrs. C won an auction. And we got a crap from a trophy shop going out of business. We got a monster box of pieces, parts, and bases and things for trophies. And one of them might actually be a basketball player in the act of shooting.
There you go, kids.
There could be a revamp.
Yep. These trophies, we do our best to make them last forever, but they do need to be replaced from time to time, each and every one of them.
Yep, upgrades as we find the opportunity.
Yes.
To make them bigger, better, bolder.
Yep. We've got to redo the Rick Shaggy Brooks Memorial Trophy's got to be redone at some point. We're in the process of redoing the Fantasy Football Trophy, the Falk Holmes Plate of Greatness. Right now, we could hold off for a while with Frenzy Madness, but eventually I can see that needing a third incarnation.
I've got the makings for a brilliant third incarnation.
There you go. Of course, it all has to do with, does it fit? Is there enough room on it for all our quote-unquote engravings? Like the Stanley Cup, keep adding rings. But yeah, don't forget to check out the Facebook page for all of the news when it pertains to Sports Frenzy 2.0. And of course, links to each and every episode, sports or the weekend edition. All right, so now we move on to NASCAR. COTA, Circuit of the Americas last weekend. Kind of a dull race.
It sucked. It was boring as hell.
Wish they would have stuck with the format they had before.
Stop taking a break after stages on any course. Make them run through the stage end. Stop throwing a damn caution. Keep the damn race going.
And for our purposes, of course, it pisses us off because you pick a driver anticipating that driver, if they're going to be very good, are going to get points throughout all the stages up until the final outcome. But with these road courses now, with the way they do this, these guys will pull in 2 laps before, inevitably, every time, 2 laps before the end of the stage.
Yeah. When these guys need the damn stage points later on in the season. It's damn ridiculous.
So, of course, Dave and I are bitter about Tyler Reddick. Yes, he did fine.
His car was crap, though.
But he still could have got a lot more points.
Oh, absolutely.
But he kept coming in
early.
Yeah. So didn't get a lot of stage points, barely held on, got us a top 10. So it wasn't a disaster, but again, William Byron, for the most part, dominated. There was a time Ty Gibbs looked pretty good. Ross Chastain had the lead for a while.
Yeah.
But for the most part, William Byron
Byron's day.
From the pole, pretty much dominated the whole thing.
Yeah.
So he's got his second win. Very interesting. And he's got 2 wins this year, one at Daytona on a super speedway and one on the road course at COTA. We had a disqualification. Justin Haley, who had a decent run, DQ'd for being under on the post-race weight.
Not good. Not good at all.
So he drops all the way to the back, last place. Now, a team like that cannot take a hit like that.
No.
That's devastating.
Yeah, there's no excuse for that.
Yeah. A Gibbs car, a Hendricks car, if that were to happen to them, they would be able to overcome it.
Yeah.
But some of these smaller teams,
startup, no.
They can't take that. Yeah, that's just terrible.
That's devastating.
Then, of course, they tried out a new restart zone. Didn't seem to really have much of an impact, so that's a good
Yeah, they
thing.
built it up like, oh, this could really make the. No, it was lame.
Yep.
You thought that would have been the most exciting part, and it did nothing to help.
Now, the thing that NASCAR seemed to struggle with at COTA throughout the weekend was the shortcut penalties. They felt like, what I read, they felt like they were acting more like calling balls and strikes, the analogy was in baseball, and they don't want to be doing that.
Yeah.
Things were so close in terms of looking at who had both tires out of the zone
I hate all that
or all
crap.
four tires,
I hate the time penalties that comes. Sometimes the momentum carries you a little bit more, or if you get pushed off your line a little bit, you're going to go. Just let them run. Forget this out of bounds bullshit. I hate that with F1. I hate that with a lot of the stuff where, oh, all four tires were over this line. You're going to
Right,
get an
right.
X second penalty. No, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
Absolute bullshit.
So they did not come out and say there's any fixes or anything they're looking at doing in the future,
We don't
but
want to overanalyze everything.
right.
Yeah, you shouldn't. Let them run. The only thing I can say is, yeah, you can't let them just run straight through the S's, through the dirt and everything else. They have to run the S's. But other than that, or if you throw some courses have the little bus stop
Right.
section, you
Right.
can't blow through that. But otherwise, let it run.
And they say they're going to go back to COTA next year, so
Ugh, it's not an exciting track.
we'll see if they decide to come up with any kind of a fix for this. Doesn't sound like it's a top priority.
No.
But what sounds like it could be a top priority, which Dave and I both love, sarcasm noted, is the continued obsession with the West Coast. Now, the latest news. Of course, we know Fontana is being revamped. Who knows how long that's going to take? We've talked about Dodger Stadium.
Stupid.
Well, now we have got a battle inside NASCAR, internally, between the overall governing body and one of the owners. NASCAR and Roger Penske are both putting in bids trying to acquire the 50% share that is now up for grabs for the Long Beach Grand Prix. Can you see NASCAR running the Cup guys on that one?
You know where I want him to race.
Laguna Seca.
Yep, WeatherTech.
Yep. Yep. Nope. Now
I
they're
want
talking.
him to take on the corkscrew, damn it.
Nope. Long Beach Grand Prix looks like it's now in their sights.
So what, are we
But
going to run a
Penske wants
double
it now.
weekend?
But Penske wants it.
Penske wants it for Indy.
Right. Yeah.
So are we going to get a double weekend like they used to do it, like they did a couple years at Indy for the stupid road course?
I don't know. We shall see. This is interesting. NASCAR is so desperate to get that race outside of Sonoma on the West Coast.
Nobody on the West Coast cares that much. That is not your bread and butter fan base.
Open up the parking lot. Shut down Disney and open up the parking lot at Disneyland. And finally, I'm sure this will warm the cockles of Dave's heart, because we're going to North Wilkesboro.
I love Wilkesboro.
Now, of course, they ran the All-Star race there last year. Going to do it again this year. May the 14th through the 19th is All-Star Race Week. We all know about the legends when it comes to North Wilkesboro. And one of these legends might be finally proven legit. Underneath the front stretch grandstands, they have found what looks to be possibly an old moonshine cave.
The long rumored. Yes.
They did not find a still, but they acknowledge the fact that it looks like it very well could have been the long rumored moonshine cave. They had to remove 600 seats
To dig down to find it.
under the concrete grandstands on the front stretch. So now
They're hustling.
Now they're saying it's a race before the race. They have got to get this all figured out. They might have to fill it in, but
Why
can
did
they
they
fill
take
it in?
so long? Why did they wait so late to do this? It should have. They should have waited until after All-Star Weekend to do this deep dive.
Yep, because of all the seats they've had to remove, and now safety concerns because it's hollow underneath the grandstands. Although technically last year
It was. So what's the damn difference?
But yeah, now they're calling it the race before the race to figure out how to fix this.
Timing of this was absolutely frickin' stupid.
Is it a historical situation? You know, is this one of those things where this could be a historical landmark where
Probably not.
Where they're not
the
allowed
Speedway
to
is
fill
a
it in?
historical landmark. They
mean,
can't fill it in. Shore it up. Hell, why do you have to do anything? It stood for decades and decades and decades without any problems.
I would go ahead and just make it a tourist attraction now.
Yeah.
You know?
Charge an extra $5 to run through. Hell, why don't you set up a beer concessions down there? Come on.
Moonshine. Sell a little moonshine down there.
Take advantage of it. Come on.
We'll see what happens.
Invest in the Wilkesboro heritage, for crying out loud.
They have got till mid-May to figure it out.
Ugh.
Figure it out.
Figure it out.
We have to figure out who we're taking for race 7 of the 2024 NASCAR Cup season. Toyota Owners 400 at Richmond Raceway. Now,
you and I played a little alliteration.
Bill started it off.
Did he?
Now, you don't get Bill's picks.
I don't get
usually
Bill's
get Bill's
picks.
picks. So Bill started off, and then you and I went from after that.
We took it to another level.
Yeah. Now, 7 of our 8 panelists have their picks in for the Toyota Owners 400. Bill started off. He wanted Marvin Hamlin-ish.
Oh God, that's weak compared to what we did.
Weak sauce.
That's weak sauce.
But he's taking Denny Hamlin. Then I came back because, of course, I send my picks to both Bill and Dave for double checking. I took Green Eggs and Hamlin. And then
I had to come through with the continuing story of the Pied Piper of Hamelin.
So all three of us are taking Denny Hamlin along with Nick. So 4 of our 7 panelists who have their picks in taking Denny Hamlin for Richmond. Aaron has got the other one who I was considering. Aaron is taking Martin Truex Jr.
Another solid person there.
Sam, again, not gonna. I was a little shocked with this one. Not a bad pick. Of course, all the Gibbs cars. If you look at the odds right now, all 4 of the Gibbs cars are the top 4 in terms of who's favored to win Richmond. So he's taking Christopher Bell.
That was my second choice.
Yeah, see, I had Truex. Hamlin, then Truex.
Yeah, I was going Hamlin, Bell, Truex.
Yep. So Sam goes Christopher Bell, and Doug mired very, very far deep in the standings. Really the only one of the 8 of us who's somehow with our new lenient rules still in trouble. But that's Doug. That should be a
Doug
sitcom.
don't care.
That's Doug.
That's Doug.
Hey, guys! Who you taking for pickleball this week? Wah, wah. That's Doug. Doug is taking Ryan Blaney.
Okay.
Well, Blaney is usually a good pick any week, but
not necessarily at Richmond.
Yeah.
He's struggled.
So there you go again. Kev, Dave, Bill, Nick, Denny Hamlin, Sam, Christopher Bell, Aaron, Martin Truex Jr., Doug, wah, wah, Ryan Blaney. All right, real quick, NBA news. Oh, I heard my phone go off. That's probably Mrs. C with her NASCAR pick.
Could be.
Yeah, even down here in the bowels of the studio, I could hear upstairs my phone going off. So guaranteed that's just 10 seconds late. My Magic, of course, still doing okay, 42-29, still 5th in the Eastern Conference. The NBA is shutting down the G League Ignite developmental team, which, if you've been following the draft the last few years, a lot of these top players flow through this team. So it'll be interesting to see what's going to happen now. Basically, we're going to go back to what we had 20, 30 years ago with Kobe Bryant and LeBron James straight out of high school.
Yeah.
Which I just can't stand.
I hate this bullshit. I hate let's get them right out of high school. Oh, let's do the one and done. No, these guys, it's the rare player who is ready to go that early. They need time to develop. And that's what's ruined college basketball.
Well, and whatever happened to caring about coming from high school to college, getting an education, getting a degree, maturing as a human being?
Who needs an education when they're getting $250 million max contracts?
But you and I have talked about this. I don't want these players on my team because they don't care about teamwork. They don't care about their intelligence level. They don't care about smart. They go out like John Morant,
waving guns
around, and then they destroy their career.
But
I don't want that kind of player on my team. Yeah, they do. They get their money.
And then they're done, and then they fade into oblivion or they wind up in jail.
But again, I don't want those guys on my team.
No, I want integrity. I want class. I want somebody who cares about the game.
And at least with the G League Ignite team, these guys had a little bit of a transition platform where they could learn how to play with other guys,
to mature,
and to show off in a team environment what they could do. Now, again, it turns into an absolute crapshoot for all these owners and GMs. Now,
don't want them, can't coach them.
Thank you, Mr. Singletary. Tying into Shohei Ohtani, a story flying under the radar. Toronto center Jonte Porter is under investigation. Now, this is not, of course, Mr. $700 million man, Shohei Ohtani. This is a bench player for the Raptors. But he's under investigation because of betting irregularities involving under and over prop bets involving his statistics. Two straight games. And this is a guy we're talking about. These prop bets are like over under 0.5 3-pointers, over under 3.5 rebounds.
Yeah.
We're talking very low level stuff.
Easy to manipulate as yourself.
Yeah. One game, eye injury early on, had to pull himself out of the game.
Uh-huh.
And I believe the other game, some kind of an illness. But again, he starts the games.
Yeah.
Plays a minute or two. And then something.
something.
Oh, my arm.
Oh, I think I broke my arm.
So 2 games in a row this happens. Now,
Now the
people are
investigation
stupid, but they're
begins.
not that stupid.
We were born at night, not last night.
There you go, bud. Yeah, so Jonte Porter might, now who knows? Like you were talking about money, he might have cashed in enough through, an intermediary who's placed these bets where he gets kicked out of the league forever.
What does it matter?
Those 2 nights he might have made enough money where, hey, I made more on those 2 bets than I would have for the
In my
rest of
career.
my pathetic NBA career. All right, let's move on to the NFL. Got to talk about the rule changes.
Rule changes, baby.
And Mr. Height, the Conquistador, has done his homework.
Because that's what we do.
We're here to inform you. Not only to titillate you, excite you, and entertain you, but to inform you as well.
That's right. 2024 season kickoff changes based on the XFL. I'm glad they're doing this to bring some excitement back to the kickoff returns.
It
was
needs it.
freaking ridiculous.
Yeah.
It was lame as hell. So, what are we doing now? They will continue to kick from the 35-yard line, but the kicking team, the other 10 players, line up on the receiving team's 40-yard line. At least 9 members of the return team, the setup zone between the 35 and 30 yard. They're 35 and 30. So not a lot of impact is going to happen. And the beauty of it, nobody can move until the ball is caught or it hits the ground. Love it. It's awesome. No fair catches.
And touchbacks move from the 25 now to the 30.
Yes.
To try to encourage the kickers.
So the kickers aren't going to be putting it through the end zone. I still say, if they're going to take that penalty, if the kicker puts it through the uprights on the kickoff, the team gets another point.
Yeah, you've been saying that for years and years. I don't necessarily dislike it, but it would need to be tweaked. It would need to be tweaked. My question is, with all of this, and again, I agree with you completely that we needed something like this. Windy day. Let's say we're at Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City. Windy day. And they've got to have the kicker have a holder. So do they have to pull one of the guys off?
Yes, they do.
The line?
Yep.
But can that guy move once the kick is, or is he got to?
He's got to wait.
He's got to wait as well.
He's got to wait as well.
So that's a disadvantage.
Yep.
To the kicking team.
Something to think about,
and of course, you can have 2 return guys back.
Right. You
not
can
just
have 2
one.
return
you can
guys.
have 2 now. They did need to get this fixed because a year or 2 ago they were talking about let's just get rid of kickoffs altogether, and it's such a fundamental part of the game that
Devin Hester got into the Hall of Fame for his kick and punt returns, for crying out loud.
Right. You got guys like Deion Sanders, Billy White Shoes Johnson, legends.
The Steelers just signed Cordero Patterson to be their return man because of this.
Literally hours after the rule change was finalized, the Steelers pounced. Brilliant signing. Smart
Absolutely.
organization. Again, a smart organization will always do smart things. And the Steelers, once again, ahead of the curve. They stole Justin Fields from the Bears. And now they say, we're going to go out, we're going to get the best kick returner on the market now that we're loosening up the rules for the kick returns.
Yep. So there you go. Brilliant move there.
Of course, that whole kickoff structure based on an XFL idea. Isn't it amazing?
I think the NFL has poached several different changes from the XFL.
Oh, the cameras on the wires was an XFL
Spider
idea.
cams.
Yep. Yeah.
Other things going through, 3 other rule changes. No more swivel hip drop tackles.
Good luck legislating it.
I know, but they're just as devastating as the horse collar because
Agreed, but they're harder to call.
they are harder to call. You got to stop landing on the backs of guys' legs in the tackle.
Well, again,
That's as bad as the head hunting.
we have talked for years and years and years. Yes, grumpy old men, get off our lawn. But when we played in high school, we knew how to tackle. Our coaches
Taught how to tackle.
now these poor coaches can't because the fathers and the representatives in some cases don't tell this kid what to do. Just let him go out and play. He's got natural talent.
Yeah, natural talent has to be reined in.
And they launch themselves head first.
Yeah, you got to. Yeah, they're trying to eliminate the launching. That still happens way too damn often. And then the horse collars, those still come up from time to time. This is just as bad as the horse collar.
Oh, no, and I agree with that. I'm just saying it's much easier to see a horse collar tackle and say, yep, black and white, easy call. This hip drop swivel tackle, because they're saying that some of them are okay.
If you land on the backs of if you land on the guy's legs from behind like that, the way you pull them down, you got to take that out.
Yeah, and again, it's fundamentals. Whatever happened to just aiming for a guy's center, wrapping him up around the waist, and pulling him down?
Fundamental football.
It doesn't make for a highlight reel tackle.
You know what? If you wrap a guy up from the center as you get him and drop him, that's what you need to do. You wrap them up right. They're not going to escape one of your stupid little arm tackles.
And how many times do we see these idiots miss on that? Because they're trying to make
or they launch themselves for a highlight reel tackle, they miss. Wrap them up.
And in this day and age, with all the statistics and all the cameras and all the analytics geeks who are telling these owners and these GMs, this guy is this % accurate with his tackling. When he goes after a guy, he brings him down this % of the time. If you can get those numbers, get those statistics to your agent and show them to a GM when you're on your free agent year and make a shit ton of money.
Exactly.
But no, we still got to make the highlight reel. We got to knock a guy down.
No, you don't. Just make the tackle. And you know what? Wrap the guy up first to bring him down. And then as you're bringing him down, you try and punch the ball away. Now these guys are thinking, I'm going to punch as we're running 10 yards down the field. The peanut punch. What made Tillman so damn good? He stopped the guy in his tracks before he punched the ball out.
Yep.
The guy's never made any additional yardage when he was punching the ball out.
And to back your point up, the hip drop tackle, the swivel hip drop tackle, unanimously voted by the owners, banned by the owners, again, will be a 15-yard penalty.
Yep. The kickoff vote approved 29-3, 3 dissenters. All right, now we've got another rule change, which I don't think went far enough. The Lions proposed this, and it was approved. Teams will receive a third challenge after a successful challenge.
Which is fine.
Which is great. But as I said, it doesn't go far enough. Right now, they get 2 challenges, whether they get them right or wrong. This way, at least if you get one right, you get another one to back it up. So you could get up to 3 challenges. It doesn't go far enough because you should be able to challenge. As long as you're correct, it should keep going. I don't care if it shows the officials up. It shows they are not doing their job correctly. You want to get the calls right. This is a step in that direction.
Yep. If you're going to do 2 challenges, then you got to get 2 wrong to lose them all.
Yes.
I don't care if you miss one. If you inherently get 2 challenges, you get one wrong, but you keep getting the other one right over and over and over again.
You keep going
then
until
going.
you get 2 wrong. There's nothing.
And you want to, if you're Roger Goodell, you want to bitch and piss and moan about slowing the game down, then get the officials to do their job properly.
If the officials keep fucking everything up, and they do egregiously, which leads into the conspiracy theory that the NFL rigs every damn game for certain outcomes. If you want to get that out of there because everybody believes it, let this run.
Yep, Shohei Ohtani voted, bet on the NFL. $4.5 million.
Yeah.
Now, other changes, not rule changes, but other changes announced. The trade deadline was moved back a week. So the trade deadline will now come after week 9.
Yep, makes it a little more interesting. And then another change, if there's a double foul during a down where there's a change of possession, including if one of the fouls is post-possession during a kick, the team last gaining possession will keep the ball after the enforcement for its foul if they did not commit the foul before gaining possession. It's convoluted crap.
I couldn't even tell you what the hell that means, honestly.
Basically, it says, we're not replaying the down.
Now, of course, you're going to love this. Not 1, but 2 exclusive games on streaming coming this year. September the 6th game in Brazil will be exclusively on Peacock. And wild card game in January exclusively on Amazon Prime. And there will be Wednesday football.
Christmas Day football, baby.
2 games.
Yes.
Will be played on Wednesday. Christmas falls on a Wednesday this year.
As all NFL fans go, F you, NBA.
I was going to say, fuck the NBA. Fuck the NBA. Who are you to think you should get a monopoly on Christmas Day? This is one time, and I have always been more of an advocate for Roger Goodell than you have been.
This is brilliant. This needed to happen.
This is the NFL, again, being a bully and saying, we're the big boys. We want to put games on Christmas. Fuck the NBA. We're going to do it. Because they looked at the numbers the last 2 years.
And they kicked the shit out of the NBA.
2 years ago, Christmas fell on a Sunday, so it wasn't a big deal. But last year, it came on a Monday. And they had the 3 games on Monday, Christmas Day. And the numbers were extraordinary.
Nobody watches the NBA on Christmas Day.
Nobody watches the NBA at all.
This is true. So there you go.
And so what they're going to do is, because the games are on a Wednesday, the teams that will be playing in the 2 games on Wednesday will be playing the Saturday beforehand.
Right.
To give them a little bit more rest.
And then they'll have a little bit more time after.
Yep. I'm all for it.
I love it. It's brilliant.
Because Christmas was a wasteland for us sports fans. Christmas was a wasteland. Oh, the Celtics and Sixers are playing. Ooh, the Lakers and the Suns are playing. I'd rather actually watch.
Do you know how many damn Christmas days we spent where the TV was on the fucking crackling fire to avoid the NBA?
Or on TNT on the 24 Hours of a Christmas Story.
Yeah. Anything
as we watch nieces and nephews and our kids break toys, because that was more entertaining than watching the NBA 5 games straight through from noon till midnight.
Yeah.
Now at least we get something we can enjoy on Christmas.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
All right, other NFL news as we move on here. Kansas City pulls off the trade we knew was coming. Cornerback L'Jarius Sneed goes to the Titans for a 2025 third-round pick and a 2024 seventh-round pick swap.
And I want the Dolphins head coach to be fired for even entertaining the thought of bringing fucking Odell Beckham Jr. into the Dolphins facilities.
Well, I'll check that off my agenda. I was gonna just bring that up, Dave, but I'm glad you
Fuck OBJ! He's a useless piece of shit. He's a cancer to every team he's ever been with.
Your head coach makes it sound like he's very intrigued by having him on the roster.
Yeah, go smoke another bowl and rethink yourself. Don't want anything to do with that douchebag.
We should say, following up last week, where I went nuclear off of RG3 for daring to stick his fucking nose into Bears business, talking about telling Caleb Williams to pull an Eli.
Oh, fuck you, Deion Sanders.
Don't spoil the end of the show, Dave. I was referring to the fact that Ryan Poles, our GM, responded to this in an interview recently and said it really pisses him off. And I'm glad that he actually said that.
Good. I'm glad he had the balls to come out and go against that. And I'm sorry, but there was a little teaser for the end of the show.
No, it's all right. Again, we kind of do this on the fly to give you that whole off the cuff, you know.
We don't discuss
the
things.
emotional reaction without scripting things.
Yeah. It's the visceral gut reaction.
But yeah, the fucking failure RG3 who loses upwards.
Guy has no business
telling
any
anybody,
analysis.
giving anybody career advice. So good for Ryan Poles to come out and say he's pissed off that RG3 opened his fucking yap about what Caleb Williams should do with his career. Yeah. How did that career turn out for you, you pinhead? Again, your coach had so much faith in you that he drafted another quarterback later on in the same draft.
Who was more successful?
Cornerback Tre'Davious White will go to the Rams. 1 year, $8.5 million deal. Could be up to $10 million with incentives. Still, that Rams defense without Aaron Donald.
Ouch.
Got to be a weak unit right now. And then, of course, we talked last week about the Lions and Cam Sutton. Cam Sutton was released by the Lions. He was at the Lions facility when that warrant we discussed last week was publicized.
There you go.
All right, college football real quick. Notre Dame. Duke transfer quarterback Riley Leonard. He's got issues, man. He's got issues. Ankle surgery. Looks like he could miss all of spring practice. And this is a follow-up surgery to something he had done a procedure late last year.
Yeah, I believe that was after the Notre Dame game. So Notre Dame, by sacking him, kind of sacked the next season for themselves.
A vicious cycle.
Karma, bitch be thy name.
And then we have, could have put it in the dumbass segment, but if we did this, it would just get a little bit ridiculous. Georgia running back Trevor Etienne, not Travis, Trevor, of course.
Hi, I'm Trevor.
Of course, Travis's brother just transferred into Georgia, gets nailed with a DUI and 3 other charges.
Again, what is it with Georgia and traffic violations?
Because you bring in entitled little bitches at the top programs, at the top level,
and
who think they're untouchable and don't think things going to happen to them when they do bad shit.
Then they need to be booted.
All right. The UFL starts this weekend. Do we care?
Not really.
All right. Moving on. The NHL. Blackhawks look like they are not going to be the worst team in the league this year.
No, they're sitting at 47 points. 7 better than the Sharks. And they're on a 2-game winning streak, including a win over the Sharks in that span. They've actually beaten the Sharks twice, I think, within the last 6 games. Still, they suck.
They will get better.
They
will
need
get better.
They need defense and they need goaltending. Their goalies suck.
We just talked about this in baseball. The Cubs, the Astros, the Orioles. Sometimes you need to hit rock bottom.
They've
As
been
UFO
rock bottom
saying,
for a while.
rock bottom, before you can move up. And our long national nightmare is over, Dave.
Is it?
They found the Jaromir Jagr bobbleheads.
Woohoo! People can get their baubles.
So, of course, all those Pittsburgh Penguin fans will be able to get their bobbleheads.
Where were they?
I did not see. No, I did not see. All I know is they were recovered. They have been sent through.
I think they were on the container ship in Baltimore.
Oh, boy. Oh, Dave. Wow. Yeah, we're politically incorrect, but that's a little rough.
Just trying to tie it all together.
Now, can we do a big picture topic for a minute? I know you're not big on this, but
let's paint with the wide brush. Sure.
All right. Because we've covered everything else, we're going to do our dumbasses. Only got 3 dumbasses this week, so we got time. If you listen to this podcast regularly, and you better goddamn well be, you know we're angry. We're politically incorrect. We will point out hypocrisy, stupidity, wherever we find it.
Because we're mad as hell and we're not going to take it.
The thing is, I would like to think we are equal opportunity haters.
Yeah, we hate humanity in general.
It doesn't matter. Male, female, black, white, Hispanic, homosexual, heterosexual. If you're an asshole, if you're a dumbass, you're stupid, we're calling you out. But at the same time, we do not lower ourselves to nasty language when it comes to calling people out.
No, sometimes.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm talking bottom of the barrel stuff. 2 instances to discuss here. We have got, and we don't talk about soccer a lot. We obviously don't talk about women's basketball all that much, even though this year, maybe a little bit more because of Caitlin Clark and that idiot Dawn Staley. See, now, idiot, I'm okay with. But I'm not going to call her, a racial slur.
No, I think we've called her a piece of human refuse before.
That's not, I'm talking about an
actual race. Yes.
Yes. But we have got 2 instances here over the last few weeks. In soccer, we have got racist chants hurled at a player.
There's no excuse
in
for
La
that.
Liga in Spain. There's a pattern here too, which I find very disturbing. So, number 1, a black player getting racist insults hurled at him constantly as he plays in Spain. And then I believe down in Mexico, and I believe it was the U.S. men's national team. I could be wrong on that, but Mexican fans down there chanting homophobic slurs at that team. Now, you notice the pattern there? Spain, Mexico, and they seem to be the people who are the nastiest when it comes to saying these terrible things about race and about
but they're
sexual
completely
orientation.
different cultures. completely different. You cannot just, they speak completely different Spanish, completely different cultures. There's nothing to do with each other at
Okay, but
all.
still, in the end, this stuff we can't abide it.
No, it's stupid. It's egregious. There is no place for it anywhere in the world.
And then, of course, in our own backyard, in America, so I'm not going to rip on Spain. I'm not
are we
going to rip
going
on
up
Mexico.
to Idaho?
Yes. Yeah.
This is pathetically
Disgusting
bad.
and pathetic that the Utah women's basketball team had to change hotels in Idaho because people were yelling racist insults
At the players.
at the players.
What the hell is wrong with people?
And again,
It's
I'm differentiating
stupid.
what we do here from this kind of garbage. Because I will call out a black person for being a racist. I will call out a gay person for taking their homosexuality and wielding it like a weapon.
And we will call out white people for being racist assholes as well.
Everybody and anybody.
It doesn't matter.
Stupidity is what we're looking for first and foremost. But this kind of stuff goes beyond the pale.
There is no excuse. There's no place for this anywhere.
We can't move forward.
If you have assholes like this perpetuating stupidity.
And again, I blame social media for giving everybody a voice when sometimes some of these people should not have a voice. And I blame the media because sometimes it seems like the media eats this crap up and they love it. I sometimes wonder if the media
doesn't
wants
concoct some
civil
of this
war.
shit.
I sometimes wonder if they don't want civil war, if they don't want a race war.
It's the shadow government trying to overthrow everything. Conspiracy frenzy. Not necessarily wrong.
We're never averse here to a good conspiracy on Sports Frenzy. And we'll probably get to some on the weekend edition.
Because we've thrown some of these wild things out there, and once in a while we can claim, we fucking told you so.
That's right. That's right. So I just wanted to bring this stuff up to compare and contrast what we're doing here, calling out the idiocy and the stupidity in the world. But we're not going to this point. These people need to be shut down.
Stop. Just stop.
One moment of silence this week. Cowboys defensive lineman Don Schmerich passed away. Now, we've got 3 contestants this week for America's favorite game show.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is going to be a trifecta slam dunk.
That probably puts you in a bad mood, so yeah. You're going to be biased and prejudiced against our contestants. But, of course,
all right.
This time in the show is always the Red
Hold
Foreman.
On.
Oh,
deep breath. I'm finding my Zen center to be an impartial judge, jury, and probably executioner.
Of course, Sports Frenzy, tradition, going all the way back to almost the beginning in our cable access television days.
Yep, we had our dumbasses, and then we found one of the greatest TV dads of all time in Red Foreman.
The way he's living his life, death would be a sweet release. And of course, we ran with it from there, and now it has become a game show where I will give your Uncle Dave contestants, and he will decide if Red Foreman and I are right, and they are truly dumbasses of the week. Of course, first up, we've already alluded to this. Dave kind of spoiled it, but that's okay. It happens. Again, we do this.
It was foreshadowing.
We do this off the cuff, impromptu, so it's going to happen. Mr. Deion Sanders. Coach Sanders.
Coach Prime.
who seems to think his shit doesn't stink and everything he's ever done in his life has been perfect. Last time I checked, after the first month, his program bit the big one at Colorado, but who am I to judge? But of course, Deion thinks, and again, I think he was one of the most overrated players of all time.
In baseball and football.
He was a mercenary. We know how I feel about LeBron James, same type of deal.
Deion was the master of self-promotion.
So now with his son getting ready in 2025 to go into the NFL draft,
If he goes,
Deion says, along with his son, another one of the highly touted Colorado players who will be coming out in 2025, they will pull an Eli, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Because they're going to decide where they play, not the NFL draft. And they're not playing anywhere cold.
Boo, hoo, hoo. Guess what? You're going to play in the cold anyways. If you're so worried about playing the cold, why are you in fucking Colorado? Candy asses.
I cannot stand little bitches like Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders got handed the golden calf. He got handed the ultimate prize, gifted with athletic talent that allowed him to, again, be a little bitch when he was a player and move around from team to team to team, even though I still don't think he was all that in a bag of chips. And then he's been able to somehow milk this public persona, and he's got people snowed into thinking he's actually a nice, fun guy. I'm telling you, he's a scumfuck. He is. He's an absolute scumfuck.
And this is the chink in the armor
this
right
is
here.
another example of how the media kisses his ass when this kind of quote, they should be right barreling down on him.
It's like, who are you to do this shit?
You don't care about the league that these kids are going into where they're going to make a ton of money. You don't care about the best thing for the league. You care about you and your son. Selfish pricks.
That's assuming his son actually would get drafted.
See, the thing I don't understand about this mentality is, let's destroy the league so that we benefit from it now, but 20 years from now, we're going to destroy it. The draft will go away because we set a precedent.
Yeah.
By saying we're not going to the team that drafts us.
Guess what? You're probably not going to get drafted. You're setting yourself up for failure.
Sorry. I don't like to root against young people. I'm rooting against his son. I did not root against Bronny James.
No, I really hope that young man can succeed after the heart issues he's had.
Right.
And having to live in his father's shadow.
Even though some people accuse me of rooting against him because I hate his father.
No,
that is not what I ever said.
I hope Bronny can succeed despite his father.
I hope his father retires first.
Because he's just going to overshadow his son.
Yes. Forcing him, you're going to play with me, son. You're going to play with me. Let the fucking kid play where he can play and fit in best to make his own legacy and make his own career.
Yeah.
But that's,
stop
again,
overshadowing.
the
Stop
egos,
having to be the center of attention.
The egos of Deion Sanders and people like LeBron James. This is what you get. And again, for the second time in this episode, we got to talk about these idiots saying pulling an Eli. RG3, and now Deion Sanders. We don't talk a lot about UFC on this podcast. But Igor Severino needs to be singled out. He finally, literally fought, scratched, clawed his way, finally got into the UFC. In his first bout in the UFC, he got himself kicked out for good. You know why?
What did the dumbass do?
he bit the arm of his opponent.
Dude, come on! You cannot pull a Tyson!
He bit Andre Lima's arm. Andre Lima showed it. Of course, we can't on this podcast.
But you
Flex
saw
after the
bite
match.
marks.
Deep, dark bite marks that Lima actually got a tattoo around.
God.
Because Dana White gave him a bonus for having to put up with the stupidity of Igor Severino getting bit. Dana White knows what he's doing.
Yeah, he does not take any crap.
No, he gave the kid who got bit extra money.
Now, granted, he gives Conor McGregor too much fucking leeway. That's his one blind spot.
Oh, so we're not watching Roadhouse?
Yeah, well, we'll discuss that when we hit the weekend edition.
Yeah, but the tattoo, you got to look at, kids, you got to look at it online. Look up Andre Lima tattoo, where the bite marks were on his bicep, and he got the tattoo around it and had the bite marks inked. It's just, got to give the kid a lot of credit. Handled it the right way, and again, so did Dana White. Gave the kid a bonus for having to put up with the unprofessionalism.
Yeah, and this guy will never compete again.
Then finally, let's rip on France.
Because why not?
Let's go specifically to Paris, France. Of course, they're going to host the Olympics here coming up. So they thought, you know what would really be a way to pay early tribute to the Olympics? Let's bring back a tradition that we haven't done in 13 years. Maybe there was a reason why they hadn't done it in 13 years. The Course de Café, where they run a 1.25 mile race. Not run, sorry. Walk. Waiters and waitresses with a tray. Every tray has a croissant, an empty coffee cup, and a glass of water that is full.
Yeah.
One hand only, have to go 1.25 miles through the heart of Paris like it's a marathon without spilling the water.
If you drop something, you're out. You're out, Jerry.
Approximately 300 entrants in the Course de Café. There's got to be a reason why they didn't do this for 13 years, because it's just fucking stupid.
That's pretty damn lame.
You know, I don't know who is lamer, the people participating or the people who actually turned out to watch it.
The people who turned out to... No. You know what would be the epic finish line? The top of the stairs at the church. If you know John Wick.
The final chapter.
The final chapter.
Chapter 4. Yep.
The fight going up the stairs to the church. If that was the last run that you had to make it up all those stairs and finish at the church, boom, baby. I would watch the final leg of that one.
With assassins nestled
Not
all the way along.
Not necessarily, but just to get up all those damn stairs holding the tray. Make it a challenge. Come on.
He's your Uncle Dave.
He's your Uncle Kev.
Check out the weekend edition. Tons of music and movies to talk about.
I'll talk to you in 2 weeks.
Take care, kids.